Shraddha Shah. I'm your instructor for the subject Computer Organization and Architecture. In this subject, we have started Unit 8, that is Input-Output Organization. In this unit, we are going to see today the topic that is Priority Interrupt and Direct Memory Access. So let me see with the first topic, that is Priority Interrupt. There is possibility that you got the two or more interrupt requests at the same time. So at that time, you have to prioritize it for what interrupt you will provide service first. So at that time, you will require some prioritizing method, and that method can be done by this priority interrupt. It determines which interrupt is to be served first when two or more interrupt requests are made simultaneously. It also determines which interrupts are permitted to interrupt the computer while other is being serviced. Higher priority interrupts can make requests while servicing the other priority, or you can say lower priority interrupts. So this can be decided by this prioritizing the interrupt. For this, you can use this daisy chaining priority method. That is the simple method. This daisy chaining method of the establishing the priority is consisting of the serial connection of all the device that request the interrupt, and this device with the highest priority is placed at the first position, followed by the lower priority device up to the device with the lowest priority, which is placed at the last in the chain. So you can use this kind of chaining method. Here we have shown this method for your CPU. If any device has its interrupt signal in low level state, the interrupt line goes to the low level state and enables the interrupt input to the CPU. Here we have used the three device 1, 2 and 3, and these are connected with this daisy chaining with the CPU that has an interrupt request signal from these devices, and it will provide this acknowledgement by interrupt acknowledgement signal. Here, when no interrupts are pending, the interrupt line stays in the high level state and the no interrupts are recognized by the CPU. The CPU will respond to the interrupt request by enabling the interrupt acknowledgement line, as we have seen earlier, and this signal passes on the next device through the PO, that is priority out. Output line only if the device 1 is not requesting any interrupt. Here PI is the priority in and PO is the priority out. So if device 1 has no interrupt signal, then it will provide this output signal PO as a 1 for device 2. If device 1 has a pending interrupt, it blocks the acknowledgement signal from the next device by placing 0 to the PO output. Okay. Here it then proceed to insert its own interrupt vector address, that is VAD, into the data bus for the CPU to use during the interrupt cycle. A device with a 0 in its PI input generates 0 in its PO output to inform the next lower priority device that this acknowledgement signal has been blocked. A device that is requesting an interrupt and has a 1 in its PI input will intercept the acknowledgement signal by placing 0 in the PO output line. The farther the device is from the first position, the lower is its priority. Here, if the device does not have the pending interrupt, it transmits the acknowledgement signal to the next device by placing 1 into its PO output. Thus, the device with the PI equals to 1 and PO equals to 0 is the one with the highest priority that requesting the interrupt, and this device places the VAD, or you can say vector address, on the data bus. The daisy chain arrangement gives the highest priority to the device that receives the interrupt acknowledgement signal from the CPU. So it is the daisy chaining priority. By using this, you can prioritize your device. Next, we will see the direct memory access, or you can say DMA. The transfer of data under the program I/O is between CPU and the peripheral. In direct memory access, the interface transfers the data into or out of the memory through the memory buses. The CPU initiates the transfer by supplying the interface with the starting address and the number of words needed to be transferred, and then proceed to the execution of the other task. When the transfer is made, the DMA requests the memory cycle through the memory bus, and when the request is granted, the memory controller DMA transfers the data directly to the memory without using the CPU. Next, we can see DMA controller. The DMA controller interface, which allows the I/O transfer directly between the memory device and freeing the CPU for the other task. And the CPU utilizes the DMA controller by sending the memory address and the block size of, or you can say, number of words. The DMA controller needs usually circuit of an interface to communicate with the CPU and the I/O devices. Here this is the block diagram, you can see, for the DMA controller, which has an address bus, data bus, read and write control, and the bus request and the bus grant. Here, when the bus grant is 0, then at that time this controller will be in the high impedance state. It will work only when the bus grant is activated. Here the address register and the address lines are used for direct communication with the memory. The word count register specifies the number of words that must be transferred, and the data transfer may be done directly between the device and memory under the control of the DMA. Here this figure shows the block diagram of the typical DMA controller, and this unit communicates with CPU with the data bus and the control line. Here we have used this address bus for the address, data bus for the data, and here it has a many register like address register, word count register, and the control register. Control register is providing the control, address register is providing the starting address of the block, and the word count register provides the number of number of data which you require to transfer from this memory transfer task. Here we have used this DS, that is for DMA selection line, RS for the register select, for selecting the register, whether you are selecting the address register or the control word register or the control word count register, and so on. Two read and write control signal. One is a bus request control and another is a bus grant control. That bus request is generated by this DMA controller to tell the CPU that it requires the bus, and bus grant is the output from the CPU and the input for this DMA to determine that it has granted the bus, and so this transfer can be initiated. And this transfer task is initiated by means of the interrupt, and that is used as an interrupt output line. So by this way you can use this your DMA. Here DMA request and DMA acknowledgement are used for connecting with the I/O device. So by this way you can use this DMA. Here DMA request and DMA acknowledgement are used for the I/O devices. The register in DMA are selected by CPU through the address bus by enabling the DS, or you can say DMA select, and the RS, or you can say register select input. The RD and the WR, that is read and write inputs, are the bidirectional. When the BG or bus grant input is 0, CPU can communicate with DMA register through the bus, or you can say data bus, to read from or write to the DMA register. When BG is 1, the CPU has relinquished the buses, and the DMA can communicate directly with the memory by specifying an address in the address bus and activating the read and write controls. The DMA communicates with the external peripheral through the request and acknowledge lines by using a prescribed handshaking procedure. Here the DMA controller has the 3 registers, that is address register, word count register, and the control register. And these 3 registers, as we discussed earlier, The address register contains the address specifying the desired location in the memory. The word count register holds the number of words to be transferred, and the register is decremented by 1 after each word transferred, and initially and internally it is tested for the 0. The control register specifies the mode for the transfer. Thus, the CPU can read from or write into DMA register under the program control via the data bus. The DMA first initializes the CPU. After that, the DMA starts continuous to transfer the data between the memory and peripheral units until the entire block is transferred. So, the CPU initializes the DMA by sending the following information through the data bus. First one, the starting address of the memory block where the data are available for reading or writing and where data to be stored. The word count, which number of words is required for the memory block. Third thing is the control to specify the mode of transfer such as a read or the write. And fourth thing is the starting address is stored in the. So these four things are required to take the transfer between DMA and the CPU. So by this way you can use the DMA for transferring the data between your CPU and the memory. So we are ending today's session over here. If you have any query, then you can